Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. It's that time again. There's lots of new stuff coming to Black Ops Cold War due to the fact that Season 5 is dropping, and here's all the stuff in it that you might have missed, alongside some hints towards some secret additions that we're going to have to figure out as time goes by. So, first of all, let's talk about Death Perception, which is being added. It's obviously a perk that has been kind of revived from not being so loved in Black Ops 4, and its base ability sounds pretty familiar. It just means that obscured enemies are key-lined through walls, i.e. they are highlighted, like they've got a little outline around them. But the skill tiers are where this really becomes interesting, I think, because at skill tier 1, the minimap update rate is increased. So that's the little pulsing UAV that goes across your minimap. That's such a weird thing to have on a skill tier, but maybe this will end up actually being really useful and something that we kind of won't really expect to love as much as we do, and then we kind of try it in game and it's like, oh my god, I can't live without this now. Like, who knows? I mean, that sounds like a pretty interesting thing to add on. Skill tier 2 means that enemies give damage indicators when behind the player, so you kind of got that like sixth sense type thing, almost like you're being aimed at and it's going to give you an indicator like an MP perk, except this is just when they're behind you. Skill tier 3 means you gain 20% more looted salvage and high grade salvage, and this is OP. It's just OP. Your speed of getting to late game in Cold War is largely dictated, I think, by how much salvage you have, because that final legendary upgrade is really expensive and it takes a long time to get there. And the fact that this just gives you a flat 20% boost out of the gate for base and high grade salvage is massive. I'm very hopeful that this doesn't mean that they're going to do things like nerf the attachments that give you more salvage as well. I think that those giving higher salvage drop rate are essential really to the kind of flow of the game, but this on top of that is awesome. I'm looking forward to being less thirsty for salvage in the future once I get this perk. Skill tier 4 is also super powerful. It's going to give you increased armor penetration damage by 25%. So all those builds that we've been trying to figure out for the Legion boss fight in the Outbreak Easter egg, where you've got to crack its armor, and also when you're trying to beat the boss in Mao, obviously, Valentina, she's got a lot of armor too. Those builds and those sort of strats, I guess, are going to have to work just a little bit less hard now, thanks to the fact that we get this armor pen damage boost. Skill tier 5 is something that I think Vulture Aid fans are going to be pretty happy about. It's going to mean that nearby chests, resources, and item drops are key-lined through walls. So you'll be able to just run through the maps. Let's say you're playing Outbreak, for instance, run through it, and if there's a chest nearby that you can grab, you'll no longer have to just check every building and every corner to see if there is one and maybe listen out for that music, but instead can only divert from the course that you're running on when there is definitely a chest nearby. I think this will probably be a little bit less useful in regular high round zombies, or rather round-based zombies, sorry, because there are fewer chests, obviously. I think that that's just sort of a given, and the resources and item drops, I mean, it's not like there are that many of those in the game that you really need to be able to see through walls, but still, it's a good addition. However, I think that skill tiers 3 and 4, the armor pen damage and the salvage increase, are really the OP ones for this perk. Now, interestingly, they say that in Season 6, we'll be getting Death Perception's dedicated perk machine, so we can't expect that in Mao de Toten, D-Machine Firebase Z. It's going to be in the next round-based map, which we'll talk about in a minute. Hell yeah, I'm really excited to talk about that one. And they'll also be dropping a new Perk-a-Cola in the next season as well. So not this coming one, but the season after that, Season 6, I think the final season for Cold War, is going to have another perk. Any guesses as to what that one's going to be? Leave them in the comments down below. Now then, Tesla Storm, which we thought was going to be called Lightning Links, has also got its skill tiers revealed. At base, for 10 seconds, Lightning is going to connect to other players and stun and damage normal enemies, which is something that I discussed a little in my previous video, and I said, well, this sounds a bit weird because how's it going to work in solo? Like, you're not going to have teammates or other players to chain to, so is it going to like chain to like AI or Klaus or something? It sounds a little odd, but anyway, we'll get onto that in a second. Let's go through the skill tiers. At tier 1, you got double the damage dealt to enemies stunned by Tesla Storm, and that's pretty standard. That's sort of in line with the other field upgrades. And then skill tier 2 is going to increase the duration to 15 seconds. Skill tier 3 means that special enemies can be stunned and damaged by Tesla Storm. Again, very much in line with other field upgrades. And then tier 4 means that players generating a field gain 25% increased movement speed. So if you just need a speed buff at any point, you can just pop this and start zooming. Then at tier 5, elite melee enemies can be stunned and damaged by Tesla Storm. I must say, I don't really like the distinction at tiers 3 and 5 here between specials and elites. In my opinion, that is just confusing for the player. There's already been confusion about that in the past with camos, where at one point specials were counting for camos and elites weren't, and then it was the other way around or something, and then they made it both or something. It's always just been a little bit unclear in my opinion. And I know there's stuff in game that like indicates which is which, right? But to me, the readability of this is just not as clear as it could be. And to me, to be honest, it feels a bit cheap. Like skill tier 3 being specials, skill tier 5 being elites. Like why not just have it so that specials and elites are both on skill tier 5 and you give us some new effect on 3? In my opinion, that would be better, but maybe you disagree. I'm just stating my own preference here. Now, what I wanted to come back to with regards to co-op is that this thing is still going to work in solo. So if you pop it in solo, you'll basically generate just a big field of lightning around you, and so anything near you will be stunned. You don't need to worry about that. It's just that if you do have teammates in as well, then you'll get the links to those teammates and thus be able to sort of continue your distribution of your electricity as you run around. Also, in case you missed it, we already talked about this before, so I won't linger on it, but the flamethrower is being added as a score streak, which is pretty damn exciting. It's support, obviously, in this, not score streak, but you know what I mean. In Outbreak, we're getting a new collateral region, as previously mentioned in my other video, and a new objective, transport. Disciples are being added, and we're also getting new intel. And for more casual players, they're actually bringing new modes to Outbreak, which is really interesting to me, and I'll talk about this more in a sec, but they are Endless, which offers the standard Outbreak experience where you can warp and exfil from any region, and the new 3 region playlist, in which the option to warp is only available in the first 2 regions, and exfil is your only option in that 3rd and final region. So you drop in, fly out, and stock up on those crystals at your leisure super duper quick. Now, this is funny to me because I've seen people on Twitter and stuff moaning about the fact that Outbreak is too casual, and the fact that they're then adding even more casual focus to it in these playlists speaks volumes in my opinion, because what this indicates is that Treyarch doesn't give a damn about the fact that you guys think Outbreak's too easy or that it's too slow or it's too casual or whatever, right? They are building this mode out so that there is a middle ground where multiplayer fans and stuff like that can come into the zombies universe, they can dabble in Outbreak, they can just do 3 world tiers, and then they can get out of it and they can do something else with their life. They can go and enjoy their day, maybe playing multiplayer again or doing something else. They don't necessarily have to jump into a full Mauer game or something and spend like a couple of hours actually going through all the content that's in there. And seeing as we've seen such insane player volume on Outbreak compared to standard round-based zombies, in some cases actually being more popular than round-based, means I expect this stuff to only continue, and also hopefully means that we'll be getting some new players onboarded into the zombies experience, which is a really good thing. Let's not gatekeep here, guys. It is actually fantastic that Treyarch have found an effective way to bring new players into the ecosystem, and hopefully by doing things that are more casual centric in this way, it'll keep those players interested in zombies and they'll dabble in the high round stuff, the round based stuff, and we'll have new members of our community to hang out with. Now then, I mentioned before that it was confirmed that we were getting another round based map, and that's really exciting because there was some kind of FUD being spread, like a little bit of confusion a couple of months ago that we were going to have the last map being Mauer and then it was just going to be like an empty void until the next game because of the fact that Treyarch are working on the next game. They're working on World War II Vanguard. However, it was bogus. It's totally bogus, okay? What's actually happening is Outbreak is standing in as DLC 2, and so Mauer is DLC 3, and the next round-based map will be the last one with DLC 4. At least that seems to be the case of what's going on. The leaks that we've been kind of following along with so far seems to indicate that it might be called Spoosk Starly and set in some kind of glacier or something with lots of verticality, but that leak was from like 6 months ago, so take it with a pinch of salt. I think that our mileage may vary on how much we can trust that thing. However, that's what the leak says, and I personally don't know. I can't confirm if that is the case or not, but we should know for a fact one way or the other fairly soon, seeing as all the Season 5 intel will probably hint to wherever we are going to go. Now then, if you're a Dead Ops fan, there's a new Ikari exit bonus map in Season 5, and it's an entirely new area in the wild, which is just amazing. The fact that they've actually added an entire level this late in this game's life cycle is phenomenal. I love the fact that they're still supporting Dead Ops, and they've given a shout out to 2 members of their dev team, and so I want to do the same thing. Shout outs Jennifer C and Leandra D, absolute legends. They created the play space and lighting for this new wild map and have supported David King Jugga Jugga with it, I'm sure, throughout. Zombies players are also getting new operator missions, so if you've been hankering for some new ops to play as, then you'll have access to those, and there's also going to be a new Kane melee and a C58 assault rifle, as well as the MG82, in case you missed them in the Season 4 Battle Pass. There are also some new changes to Tombstone, so now when you're in in your shadow form, you don't just sort of behave as you would in the real world in terms of taking damage. You actually take 25% less damage. So you're going to be a little bit beefier when you're trying to get that revive on yourself, which is quite nice, I think. That's quite a generous change for TREYARCH to make. And the cost has been removed from the tombstone stash, which is massive. This is absolutely enormous. Those things were so goddamn expensive. And the fact that that cost is gone now makes the perk like twice as good. It's huge. So thank you, TREYARCH, for this massive quality of life improvement. Another change is they've reduced the max essence for respawning players in round-based maps to 25k. So it caps out around 25 instead of around 50. I guess they just didn't want respawning players to have that much money to spend. And also in TOTEN, if we narrow our focus down a little bit, there are a couple of interesting changes. In the main quest, they've addressed an issue where the boss could get stuck when players moved quickly between areas. If that's happened to you guys, that's sorted now, don't worry. And they've also closed an exploit that allowed you to infinitely charge and activate your field upgrade for the canister during the main quest. So that strat where you could get the canister and then just sit in the room with the safe, for instance, is going to be done and dusted now. I was going to make a video on this, but it was just so much of a meme that I didn't even bother in the end, and it's gone now. So it's probably a good thing I never covered it. Shout outs to MC Zombie Slayer for DMing me about that one and letting me know when he discovered it, because oh my god, it's such a goofy strat, but long gone, rest in peace. Now then, I mentioned at the start of the video that some secrets have been added to TOTEN, and specifically, TREYARCH say that in their gameplay improvements for Mauer, they have added a couple of hidden surprises. Wink. So what do you guys think those things could be? Have they added maybe new voice lines or something to Klaus? Maybe there's some more story stuff going on there? Or maybe this is like a full-on new Easter egg. It is labeled as gameplay, so it is unlikely to me that it's just going to be an audio thing. Like, I think this is actually going to be some kind of interactable change, and that's really exciting. The fact that there is some kind of new modification for us to kind of look into and hunt for is awesome, and I'm hopeful that what this is going to do is maybe give us a little bit of a hint as to what's going to be coming in that next DLC map, Spoosk Starly, or whatever the hell it's going to be called, because I just think that would be so cool. Like a little change that leads us into that map, like some postcard that we find that says something, or just some kind of egg that points us in that direction would be fantastic. So my fingers are crossed. I'll of course be covering it on my channel in the coming days. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in those coming videos. Bye for now.